There's probably a missing piece in your church's organizational chart that could change the serving culture in your church. It's a role that's so crucial, so influential, yet so often overlooked. Well, you ready to find out what it is? Well, I'm going to reveal it to you. Hi, John Finkelde here from Grow a Healthy Church. Welcome to the Build a Leadership Pipeline series. In today's episode, we're going to teach you about the pivotal role you should include in your organizational chart for your church. I'm going to give you one specific step you can take right now. And this step is going to strengthen your church's leadership pipeline. Going to help you understand how pivotal, how important this is to your church structure and the impact it can take. Lastly, I'm going to give you a simple freebie, a download, a tool that you can use to help recruit the right person for this role. So, what's the role I'm talking about? Well, it's the role of the serving director. In my 40 plus years of ministry, I found that many churches never put into their org chart the role of serving director. They'll have a pastor in the chart, they'll have a worship director, children's director, maybe a youth director, small group director, seniors director, director for men's ministry, women's ministry, but rarely in my 30 years of pastoring and also in my 12 plus years of consulting, I rarely find churches having the role and position in their org chart of a serving director. Now, in our church, when we were pastoring, my wife fulfilled this role and she did an absolutely brilliant job of it. I'm not saying that just because she might be watching, listening to this particular episode of the series. But I want you to know that in our church, it was a pivotal role, and I want you to make it as important and crucial in your org chart as your worship director and your children's director. I mean, imagine, Pastor, getting a phone call Sunday morning, worship director resigning. Next phone call, children's director resigning. You panic because Saturday night you go to church Sunday, children's ministry and the worship area is a mess. It just really makes a terrible difference in a Sunday morning service. So churches tend to really focus on those two areas and making sure those two areas are not only on the org chart, but they're filled. I want you to put onto your org chart, the one thing I'd want you to do almost immediately is, if you don't have it already, get out your org chart and put on the role of serving director. And I'm going to help you in a number of episodes in the Build a Leadership Pipeline series. Over a number of episodes, we're going to talk about this role because I think it is pivotal. I doubt that you can grow a healthy, effective, and vibrant leadership pipeline in your church without this role of a serving director being alive and happening in the life of your church. And before you start thinking, oh man, who am I going to get to fill this role? Let me help you out today with a download that's really going to help you. It's basically a sample role profile of what a serving director does. So if you tend to already go, man, alive, I don't even know where to start. In your church, it may be ground zero. You've never thought of having a serving director. You've never had that role. Or maybe you've got one and it's really flourishing. Well, I think that the sample role profile can still really help you, maybe with some ideas about what they do and how they approach that role. Or maybe it's something you've had in the past but got neglected, kind of got lost somewhere. Someone left and you never fulfilled the role again, and might sit there on your org chart, but no one is actively involved in that role. Well, I think this role is pivotal to building a leadership pipeline. Now, when you download the job description, the role profile, you'll find it broken into three distinct areas: tasks, standards, and targets. And in fact, I think all job descriptions in churches should have these three areas outlined: of tasks, what are you going to do? Standard, how we expect you to operate and move in that area. And then targets, what are the objectives that we want to measure that you can achieve? So let me pick a couple of these off the job description. For instance, one of the tasks of a serving director is twice a year analyze the overall level of serving in the church, just twice a year. It's not something you need to do every month, I don't believe. I think twice a year is enough. Another task in the role profile that I'm giving you: oversee the onboarding of new servers, help new people get involved in serving. Anyway, there's 8 tasks listed in the role profile. The standards, there's 7 standards listed in this role profile. Here's one of them: display strong interpersonal skills and the ability to deal with a diverse range of people. Very important. Another one is exhibit Christian character and demonstrate a personal relationship with Jesus. These seven standards give you a matrix, a filter that you can think through when looking for the right person. Don't worry, we're going to do more episodes in the Build a Leadership Pipeline series to help you fill this role. Won't leave you hanging with just the concept and the idea and the job description. I'm going to talk it through of how it should look for you. And the targets. Here's one of the targets. There's three targets there. They all have a number in. Target without a number is just a wish, I think. I think you do need to have targets going. Achieve an active serving participation rate of between 50 to 80% of adult members. Now, in smaller churches, I think in my consulting, when I'm working with a smaller church of 70 or 80 people, I say, I think 8 out of every 10 adult members, congregants, people who come to your church, whatever you call them in your church, 80% of those adults should be serving, should be involved somewhere. Now, as your church grows, that percentage diminishes. In larger churches, it can get down to 50% or even less. And I think it's important to understand the benchmarks that you have. And there's a few targets there. Now, go ahead. There's a link in the description, in the notes. You can click on that link, download that free role profile that's a sample for you, and you can massage and work with it. I've made it into a Word document so you can do all that you like with it. And make sure you do one last thing before you leave today. I do appreciate you joining with me. Is hit the subscribe button. If you're already a subscriber, thank you. Thank you so much for subscribing to this series. You don't want to miss any of them. Hit the subscribe button and make sure you get all of them. God bless you as you build a healthy leadership pipeline.